and welcome back to another movie review. Today we are doing Jesus Christ Superstar from 1973. Now, I have to admit, the music was not new to me. I have grown up hearing that album since I was a wee little child. My dad pretty much brings it out every year around Easter, plays it. I've grown up hearing it. Not to mention, it's a rock opera. Give me a good rock opera, I'm pretty much happy. But I had never seen the movie, though, until this year. And no good reason for that other than we don't own the movie, and last several years running I've been like, okay, for Easter I am going to watch and review it. And then time would get away from me, and then it wouldn't happen. This year, I made the thing happen! And oh my god, it's like my new favorite thing. So, we went from seeing it no times to watching it 5 times in 1 week. It's at that level. It's at that level. The autism is out in full force here. I give no fucks. So, this is how I get with stuff when I latch onto them. And I wish I could say it were just the movie. Oh, no. I have been playing the album, like, probably twice as many times as I have watched the film in that same length of time. I have issues, I know. You don't have to tell me. I already know. But anyway, so I'm glad that I didn't just get sucked into my first impression knee-jerk reaction where I might have noped out very quickly had I not gotten past that. Because I put it on, and within the first few minutes of the film, I find out that this is not just like a straight-through Jesus story. Oh, no. It's kind of like Godspell, in which it is a hippie reenactment of the Jesus story. Now, I didn't know that going in, so for whatever reason, my first impression was a little put off by that, and I hit stop and I was like, hey, Dad, do you want to watch it with me, actually? And thankfully he said yes, because I don't know if I would have come back to it had he not done that. And thank God he did, because like I said, now it's kind of like my favorite thing of the moment. But anyway, like I said, it's a hippie reenactment of the Jesus story. Granted, not from birth. And it's not quite the full story either, which is some people's issue with it. That they left out some kind of really big parts of the story. Like, oh, I don't know, the resurrection, like, just, small stuff like that. But I overlooked that because, again, I grew up hearing the album, so I knew going in what is included in this. Basically, hippie reenactment aside, of the Jesus story, it's the Jesus story as told from the point of view of Judas, mostly. So, for those who do not follow religions, basically, in a nutshell, Judas is the one who betrayed him and basically sold him out to Caiaphas so that he would be put to death. It's like that. So that is the quickest, most nutshell way I can tell it, because I think outside of that, even people who don't follow it, like, they kind of sort of know the gist of it, so we don't need to rehash that to death. I grew up going to a Catholic school, born and raised Catholic, so I mean, I know that, like, this is not news to me or anything, but regardless, for me, this being an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, it differs away from my usual Candor and Ebb musicals, but I mean, this one is so good that it almost makes me want to forgive him for Cats. Almost. I'm still not forgiving him for Cats, but I mean, this is pretty good to the point where I'm like, how the fuck is this the same guy who also created that? I don't know! Because, I mean, Cats is still to date the worst thing I have ever sat through in my life. Live production, movie production, don't care. Cats is the worst thing that has ever existed, in my opinion. Which is saying something, even that the animal I freaking adore. But this is not about Cats, this is about Jesus Christ Superstar. So, back in line here. So I sit down, I watch it, and there has always been something about this show, be it the album or the movie, but since growing up the album, we'll talk about the album first. Something about it that has always reminded me of The Who's Tommy, and I feel like that was, I don't know, which came first, chicken or the egg? Is this why I leaned into Tommy as immediately and as hard as I did? Or is it because I latched onto that at a super young age that I then really, really grabbed onto Jesus Christ Superstar as hard as I did a little bit older. Because, I mean, I'd heard it before that, but I really, like, gleeped onto it once. I was like, I don't know why it makes me think of Tommy, but it does. I guess there's some parallels one could draw, since, I mean, they're both about a religion of sorts. I mean, Tommy's is an invented religion that is more a cult than anything, but there's people out there who would say the same thing about Christianity. I'm not one of them, but I mean, like, there's people out there who would call it that. So, I mean, I guess there's that they share in common, but outside of that, musically, I mean, they're of the same era. I believe the albums came out in the same year in 1969. Of the films, Jesus Christ Superstar actually came first by 2 years. So, but it did have Robert Stigwood in common across both of them, which may or may not have something to do with things feeling similar, but, oh, I then found out, well, I mean, this isn't new to me now, but back when I learned of it, found out that in 1994, Roger Daltrey was in fact in a production of Jesus Christ Superstar, and he did play Judas, which is the role that I thought sounded like his vocal style anyway, so I'm like, there it is. There it is. Somebody agreed with me here. There it is. But it gets more interesting, because before doing this review, I looked at the Wikipedia page, and I must read you this little excerpt about the casting, because it's too good not to, and it just ticks the boxes of my fandoms to where I'm like, I swear I didn't know any of this going in, but damn, it makes me like it that much more. So, in the casting section, the second paragraph down. According to casting notes, Jewison wrote on stationery paper at the Beverly Hills Hotel he had considered Mick Jagger, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Barry Gibb, Robert Plant, and Ian Gillan for the titular character. Gillan, who played Jesus on the concept album, turned down Jewison's offer because he thought he would please fans more by touring with Deep Purple. The producers also considered Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees and David Cassidy to play Jesus. Then in 1971, Jewison drove from Palm Springs, California to Los Angeles to view Neely on stage in a musical adaptation of The Who's Tommy. There it is. After an invitation from Neely's agent, Neely did not appear the night Jewison arrived, as he was taking a break. However, Neely, wearing Levi's clothing and a fake mustache and beard, encountered Jewison at a motel the next morning to apologize about his absence from the performance, his rationale being illness. Yeah. Yeah, I just found it all quite interesting, you know, given that I had made the mental comparison, but then, oh, it just goes down the list of my other fandoms too, just dunk, 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 dunk. Well then, no wonder I love it so hard. But anyway, so, even though this film had a budget of $3.5 million, it does not look like a production that took $3.5 million to create, because they kind of went on locations. There was 4 locations they used to film it, but they didn't do a lot in the way of set designs or anything. They kind of used what was already there, so I think a lot of it went towards the costuming and the travel, largely, and just the filming equipment and everything. But I mean, you quickly forget the fact that it's supposed to be a hippie reenactment of the Jesus story. Once, like, they're all costumed up and everything. There's, like, a few little reminders here and there. Like during... Oh, what song is it? Let me remind myself real quick here. Do we have the songs on here? They should be. I believe. Somewhere. They better be. Otherwise I'm in trouble. I may have to hit stop for a second to remind myself. I know what song. I'm thinking of the Christ, you know I love you. Okay, yeah. It would be... Yeah, Simon's song. Simon Zealots. That song? Yeah, the people who are following him are not in any kind of historically accurate clothing. They are just in normal hippie garb. So there's little reminders like that around the edges of, oh yeah, and like Caiaphas's palace and everything is literally just like some scaffolding. But besides that, I think I actually appreciate this like that because it kind of evokes the whole thing of it being a movie adaptation of a stage show, but at the same time wanting to keep the feel of the stage show within it, but doing it better. If that makes sense. My dad, on the other hand, that is one of his big gripes about the movie version. He also gripes big time about King Herod's scene in it, and I'm like, alright, I'll hand you that one. Especially since the way that they filmed it, it really seemed like this was Andrew Lloyd Webber throwing some shade at Kander and Ebb movies and musicals. I am just saying. That could just be me reaching here, but I am pretty sure that is exactly what happened there. If you look at the choreography, if you look at the costumes, if you listen to the style of the song versus everything else in this album, it's pretty obvious. So, anywho. That aside, I really like what they do here, because while sure, it's the same songs from the album plus 2, they added a couple more to flesh it out a little more, I feel like it does a really good job of humanizing the characters. I mean, again, if you saw the stage show, I'm sure it did it in that too, but just listening to the album, some of it gets a bit lost in translation, but actually seeing it, the way that they're presenting it, I feel like they did a really good job of humanizing these characters and their motives, what they want. Like, some of it is subtle. Some of it you may not even necessarily realize is happening as you're watching it, but when you stop and think about it, it's like, how the fuck did they actually turn Pontius Pilate into a sympathetic character? I went to 8 years of Catholic school, and they pretty much vilified this guy in every religion class I ever had, because he is technically the one that condemned Jesus to death. But if you listen to this version of it, he very much wanted to save him if he could, and gave him, like, every opportunity to save himself. But because he stayed silent, there's nothing he could really do, and the crowds just wanted him dead. So just to satisfy this mob, otherwise that was gonna probably come for him, put him to death. But I mean, there's lots of stuff like that where I'm like, I feel like it does look at a lot of these characters from different points of view than just the straight up one that's in the biblical verses and everything that we've been told our whole lives. This looks at it and makes them more human, which I like. I like that a lot. Again, it's not perfect. It's not perfect by any means. But for what it is, I actually really appreciate it. So, I don't know. And there's just something about it. Maybe it's because of the way that the music, like, they use little motifs for the different characters that, like, even though they'll change the words in different parts of it, it comes back around to certain themes over and over. So, it's designed to be an earworm on purpose. They did it that way. They knew what they were doing, and they did it expertly, because I cannot get those songs out of my head anytime I even so much as listen to the album once. Next thing I know, we're going through another month-long streak of me just listening to pretty much nothing but this album all over again. Except now I additionally also have the movie in rotation too. So, but no, it's not just me. My dad's being the same way over, at least the album anyway. Although I have gotten him to sit with me twice out of the 5 times in the past week to watch the movie, so I mean, that's pretty good for him, because usually he is not down for rewatching stuff that frequently. Ever, and he, like, criticizes me for doing it, but, on this one, actually, he's on board, so, actually, just not last night, the night before, we listened to the album and then watched the movie directly after it, back to back. That was our Sunday evening. Pretty great. My mom's just like, oh, fuck all of this. But she is not a fan, but that's okay. But she did sit through half the movie, which is better than we've ever gotten her to do. She won't listen to the album either, which is strange, because style-wise, this should be like something she adores, but whatever. She has some kind of preconceived notion about it. I don't know why, but, regardless, I really, really, really am into this right now. I highly recommend it if you've never seen it, but you like rock operas, or if you're religious, or both. Like, it's on Amazon Prime right now. If you have a Prime account, you can watch it. It's included in your subscription. I don't know how long they'll keep it up for. I'm sure as soon as they pull it, I will be on the button to buy the DVD. I have it in my cart right now. I probably should just do the thing. It's only like $8, but like, yeah, if this keeps up with me rewatching it and rewatching it, and they go and pull it, guaranteed I will be buying it pretty much immediately. Because this is like Tommy all over again with me. I'm like, dang. On one hand, part of me wishes I had been introduced to this movie at a young age like I was the album, since it probably would have made religion my, like, favorite class, like, overnight. On the other hand, it's probably a good thing that I didn't, because I can also guarantee at that same young age I would have been writing very questionable fanfics about certain characters in this that would have sent me straight to hell. So yeah, at least as an adult it's like, nope, not gonna do that. But I could see where, if I'd been about like 10, 12, 14 watching this, yeah, pretty much guaranteed would have happened. So anyway, everything happens the way it happens for a reason. It's my belief. And that is my belief for why it took this long for me to see this. I was meant to see it as an adult, not as a kid. But anyway. It used to be that I preferred the album of Jesus Christ Superstar, but the film of Godspell. But I think at this point, I think Jesus Christ Superstar has officially won out on both fronts now. Although that reminds me, I probably should revisit Godspell and review that too, because I don't think I've reviewed that yet on this channel, so I don't know. I apologize in advance for the streak of religious-y titles, because I know it's not everyone's thing, and it doesn't have to be your thing, but my channel, I will review what I want to review. If you want to watch the reviews, cool. If you don't, also cool. It's all good. No pressure on any front for anything ever, really. But anyway, giving this an actual, like, number review, I'd probably give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The only reason I don't give it that last little bit of the way is because they left out such crucial things as the resurrection that I feel should have been included, even if just, like, as a brief thing. I mean, the way that they bring back Judas after he's already hung himself is, like, Angel Judas in the afterlife right before Christ gets crucified. Something like that seemed like an approach they could have used for the resurrection. Something like that, man. It felt very Earth, Wind, and Fire, by the way. Both in style, but also the costuming there. Really dig it. But, they could have done something like that. There's a lot of ways they could have gone with it, but they just chose to omit it. And that was probably on purpose. Probably open to interpretation, since Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice, neither one of them, I believe, actually follow this religion, so maybe they just left it as is for, we know this much of it went down and happened. We don't know if the other part's real, so we're just gonna leave that out. We'll just focus on this part that happened, so I don't know, maybe that's why they did that, or maybe they just couldn't agree on a way to approach the resurrection, so they're like, it's easier to just not do it. I don't know, but I wish they had included it. And there was a few other things that I have personal nitpicks I wish they had included too, but they didn't, so I'm like, this would have worked a little better had you had that in it. It's not a deal breaker. It's not a deal breaker. For what it is super enjoyable, I think, anyway. Especially if you are a fellow fan of rock operas. So, anyway. That is about it for this one, guys. So, as usual, you know what to do. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not already and you'd like to be, click subscribe. Hit that notification bell icon so you never miss an upload. Leave comments down below. Make sure you're following my social media accounts, my Facebook fan page, my Twitter, my Instagram, my eBay, my Reddits, everything and more is all down below. If you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to help support it, get your name on the end card for a month for the time of donating. The donation link, as always, is down in the description. Anyway, guys, until next time, see ya.